Hello Dino Peeps! It has been a few weeks now since the last video we talked about Aquatica and everything that went wrong during the launch of Aquatica. I gave the devs a few weeks time to do some fixes and to address the problems that have been lingering with Aquatica, and now I'm taking my time to see what is going on. As a side note, you may have probably watched Buzz Lightyear's video about the rumors that Aquatica might get abandoned by Snail Games very soon. I have talked to him, I tried to get to know his sources, but he didn't tell me. And that's fine. He didn't have to tell me. But therefore, I cannot tell you how likely this is true or not. And I also don't want to participate in too much of, assumptions with people's livelihood and people's jobs. I'll just say it would be very on brand for Snail to drop something that didn't work out at the first time. But it could very well also not be true. So just this out of the way in case, I know someone will bring this up, so I just wanted to get this out of the way. I have looked in the last patches of Aquatica, and a lot of the patches that we have seen have been patches made to the DLC itself. I know that there have also been some changes made to the broken engine, or the engine they broke during development. And we also had some talks with the engineers of Aquatica in context of ARK smart breeding, because for ARK smart breeding we have data export of the game, so we always have the up-to-date and the right data for every single creature in the game. And we ran into the problem with Aquatica that certain assets had a changed file format, or had a changed format, so we couldn't access them anymore. And I tried to get someone on the Discord, on the Aquatica Discord, to help me out with that, but I was very unlucky. I didn't get any help. I just got like, oh yeah, we don't know what's going on. And then I reached out to Zswell, which you have probably seen around with anything Aquatica. He's also streaming. He's a developer. He's a level designer for Aquatica. I talked to him and he managed to connect me with some people. Also Ivolanka, she also helped me big times connecting me with the right people. And we figured it out. So we were able to extract the data from Aquatica, but we were also able to see all of the things that have been broken within Aquatica or within the file structure. So what we did was we prepared a list for the developers, what we found, what was missing, and what was most likely causing issues for breaking mods, breaking maps, and also causing the problem that you cannot transfer animals anymore and that you only have the raptor symbol on your cryopods. So we gave them all of our info, and that was that. I know that in the background they have been working on the engine. I'm a bit sad that there has not been more info about what exactly has been done on the engine, because in the past patches we only just see, oh yeah, we want to fix the game in the very top of the message, which is fine. But, keep us updated with something that is new and not just repeat, that's our plan, we want to fix it. Because, let's be honest, it has been a few weeks. People have bought the DLC. The momentum of the launch momentum is over. We can say this for sure. The launch momentum is over, and even ASE has lost momentum. If we look at the player numbers for ASE, which have been fairly stable at like 40,000 players, if we look at those player numbers and how they have developed after the launch of Aquatica, it's not looking good. So not only has Aquatica lost its momentum, its release momentum, also ARK Survival Evolved has lost its momentum. And this is because a lot of changes done to the game will not only break Aquatica, but will also break ARK Survival Evolved if you're not on the pre-Aquatica version that you can set up on Steam. And a few days ago, there was also an ominous push of the broken Aquatica version to Epic Games. Out of all of the people, the Epic Games player did not deserve to be involved into this. And since in Epic Games you yourself cannot set up any branches, they had to wait for Epic Games to revert the changes. I think it has been done now, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm not really up to date when it comes to that. Then I think yesterday there was another patch which broke yet again basically everything. And I have been a little bit active on the Aquatica Discord, and this is actually what I want to talk to you about. And this is, I feel, with all of the backlash that the Aquatica team has gotten, no matter how much or how little it was deserved, because I still have the opinion that if someone is a new developer, and I think most of the people at Aquatica are new developers, if someone is a new developer and is breaking into the industry, is working with legacy code that is maybe not as good documented as you would love it to be. If you break into the industry and you have time crunch, layoffs during development, and overall not the best working environment that you could have, and you mess stuff up, that is normal. Sure, the amount of mess up was quite drastic, mainly because you basically broke a live service game. You basically broke a giant 10-year-old game. But it is normal that stuff will break, and it is normal that stuff might break big times. So this is not anything where I'm like, okay, you are bad people. I mean, I never think that you are bad people, but you know, I'm not so judgmental about stuff breaking. I see it more like it is a consequence of decisions that were made above their pay grade. But something that I dislike, and this is from a very personal standpoint of having been a community manager of 2 years, not in the gaming industry or not in the gaming industry, but something that is similar, toxic. I have a problem with how the community manager of Aquatica is talking about the players, with the players, about creators and with creators. And I know this is a very specific personal problem I have, but I can explain to you why that is. I have been on the Discord yesterday, and of course there have been discussions about Buzz Lightyear's video, and there has been a lot of deflection of the topic, and they have chosen the way of ridiculing the topic and therefore making it less severe, which in my opinion is never a route you should go unless you're like a nilly vanilly company and you have the moral high ground that you did nothing wrong, and then you might be able to have a humoristic, ridiculed tone. But even then, I think it's problematic. But there has been one quote, and this is something that I personally was very unhappy with, and I can read it back to you. I also show it to you on the screen. So you know what I'm talking about. And the quote is, "The average ARC YouTuber has a channel full of slander, so that's not surprising. Then they go right back to making positive content and they're fun in-game. Heck, some channels only make content about ARC." And honestly, the detachment of the reality of not only the gaming industry, but also the community connection between game developers and creators, like the disconnect that is in this comment, like in this statement that was made by the community manager of Aquatica, that is something that gets me personally angry, not because I'm a creator, because I couldn't care less what they think about me as a creator, but that gets me angry on a base. Like, I have been a community manager, and I know like how you want to talk to the community, and I know how important it is to have a good relationship, not only with your community, not only with your players, but also with your creators. So let's talk about this. Like, the average ARC YouTuber has a channel full of slander, so that's not surprising. I'm not sure how much they have looked into the ARC community, but if I look into the community of YouTubers, I see amazing channels that have put years and years and years of work into explaining the game, providing entertainment, providing information, and talking about news, finding information that we may have not gotten in the community crunch. I mean, we all have talked about how the community crunch has gotten less and less informative and how we got less and less infos out of it. And most of the infos we got from stuff like going on LinkedIn, going on Reddit, and, you know, I can say like someone like GP, he finds everything. I don't know how he does it, but he finds everything. Then we have people like Syntech, who has done amazing things entertaining us with our content. I have also like a bunch of German YouTubers. I have a bunch of Brazilian YouTubers. There's a community of people who really love the game and who are passionate about the game. And those are, for me, the YouTubers, the ARC YouTubers that I would see as like the average normal ARC YouTuber, you know? And to say that the average ARC YouTuber has a channel full of slander is disgusting. Like I think this is absolutely disgusting to portray a community like this. If that person has maybe just been confronted with negative videos, negative feedback from the community in a time where the game has been broken for weeks, okay, given. I still don't see it as slander if people are unhappy with the work you do. And to say that the average ARC YouTuber has a channel full of slander is such a dismissal of the work creators have done to the community and such a disconnect to the community that this is why I make the video, because I think within the studio Sirens there is an ego problem. And that comes from completely detaching yourself from the community because you get so much backlash and therefore seeing the community as the enemy. And while I know for a fact that the ARC community can be toxic, and there are a lot of people in the ARC community, let's be real, a lot of people in the ARC community who really do not understand like the base rules of communication, there is always a reason why people are angry. And there is always like this little source or this little trigger that causes people to be angry. Do some people overreact? For sure. But there is always a reason. There's always a background story. And then, of course, like going back and then they go right back to make positive content and the fun in-game. Heck, some channels only make content about ARC. And this is like another point where I'm like, where have you been the past 12 years? For the past 12 years, and this is like, well, maybe a little bit longer because this is how long I make content. But for the past 12, 13 years, having one channel dedicated to one game is the norm because this is what YouTube will push to viewers. It is almost impossible. Well, okay, maybe not almost impossible, maybe not anymore because they have changed a little bit. But for many years, it was almost impossible to grow a channel with several directions. So going and making a YouTube channel that is dedicated to one game is the norm. That is normal. That is. I don't know how this can be portrayed as something negative, because there you have a person who's dedicating their whole free time, sometimes even as a job, is dedicating their time to the work that you do and is spreading the word for your work and is spreading. It's like basically doing PR for you. And having that kind of statement really gets me riled up, because I said this, I posted this on Threads, because as you know, I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I posted this on Threads, I posted this on Blue Sky, and I can show you what I posted. Give me a second. Okay, so what I posted with this quote was, "One thing I really dislike is how the Aquatica dev team views creators. Many of us ARC YouTubers have been following and supporting the game since 2015. We provided tutorials and guides where the game was lacking them. We explained complicated mechanics. Did we have critique, especially when Snail Games did shady stuff? Of course, but we do love the game and we go back as it's our passion. Reading this from a dev staff makes me feel they hate creators. And as a creator, we help the games to become what they are. And we love doing it. I always felt like it was a symbiosis, but reading this makes me feel like I want to drop Aquatica coverage overall. I have been on the dev side for so long, and this is how it's thanked. And this is how I feel. This is how I feel. Like being a creator out there and trying to be the voice of reason. I know I have a lot of viewers who get angry when I try to emphasize that devs are people. I know when you're angry at the game, this is the last thing you want to hear. But I try to be the voice of reason. I try to make both sides clear. I try to focus on devs, like what they're going through. I try to focus on players, what they're going through, so we can have a balanced discussion about problems. Because one thing I really dislike is clickbait, rage bait, hate bait. This is something I really dislike, and that's why I don't want this to be part of my content. And to see such a dismissive behavior from a dev team who portrays content creators as the enemy and treats content creators and players as the enemy, for me, this is not a good sign to be a community manager. If that means you need to take a break from the community, if this means you need to maybe reconsider how you want to communicate with the community, that's the thing. But if you lose your creators, you lose those people who can help you get the momentum back. And right now, if I look at the numbers, the momentum is not there. And pushing people away who are potentially willing to help you because they like the game and they want to see the game succeed is probably the wrong decision. And now I got this off my chest. I know this is like a very creator-focused and a creator-centered view on things, but I think you shouldn't bring that kind of an ego to work, especially when you're in the position where you have to, well, where you're dependent on players forgiving you for what happened in the past few weeks. Having an ego and not being humble is probably the wrong direction. But let me know what you think about it. Do you feel the same? Do you feel that all average Arc creators are just slanderous? Let me know, because personally, I disagree. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.